Good morning. You guys expected us to start at 11, and guess what? We didn't do it. We did not live up to your expectations. What a perfect way to start this day. All right. Yeah, I was having some issues. I actually posted just a post and didn't go live. So, and then of course, I had to have help from Whit and Holly and Kevin was cheering me on, keeping me calm. Takes a tribe. Takes a tribe. How's everybody doing this morning? I hope everybody's good. Good morning. Good morning. So we are here at Jasper today because it is raining. So yeah, the weather was not what we expected, or it was what we expected. That's why I went to church. Anyway, I'm going to play on this word all day. Good morning, Monica. How are you doing? Good morning, Jennifer, Chess. How are y'all doing? Good to see everybody here. Give everybody a second to kind of get logged on. Offering www.joshuageneration.rocks, ROCKS. And we also have a Venmo, and I think Whit's going to put the Venmo up as well, so you can give there. And don't forget about your Sunday selfies, hashtag JGCC or JGUC, hashtag Sunday selfie. Good morning, Allison. All right, guys, so today the discussion is unexpected. And so I guess I should pray first. Let's pray. Hey, Christy, how are you? All right, guys, let's pray. Good morning, Christy, friend. All right, God, we come before you today, and we ask you to help us to lay down expectations. Help us to break free from expectations. Open up our minds today and help us to see beyond expectations. And I ask you to do this by your Spirit and in your holy name. Amen. All right. So I want to talk about expectations. Did you expect that? Okay, so this word has kind of been popping up for me everywhere over the past few weeks. It started out with song lyrics. That song that Susan and I sang. What's the name of it, Whit? We just started singing it. Lauren Daigle. It's a Lauren Daigle song. All week it's been in my head too. But the lyrics say something like, when I'm about to break from expectations or something like that. And when she said that, when she's like, when I'm breaking from expectations or something to that effect, that hit me, because expectations are, they can be very heavy, and they can be tough. And so Whit and I were just chatting about, we were all just chatting. We were just chatting. And out of nowhere, Whit says, y'all, my dad has no expectations of me. I am so lucky. And I was like, that's crazy that you just said that. It was like that was another, that word, and then, they just said, well, my dad just expects me to be happy, and that's it. And so that was a pretty cool little, confirmation of what's going on. And so I just feel like Spirit's showing me something about expectations. And so I've just been kind of meditating on it and contemplating it and watching it and seeing, how expectations affect our lives. Not only our lives, but the people that we expect things from, right? And also expectations, according to Google, is a strong belief, okay? And I'm just going to say this right now. When you have a strong belief, oftentimes that becomes a bias. I'm just going to say that, okay? It can be a very closed thing. If you have a strong belief, it can become a box if you're not careful. A strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. We're upstairs. A belief that someone will or should achieve something. That is what expectations are, according to Google. And so after a lot of thought, I've come to the conclusion that expectations have caused me more harm than good. And so expectations, I keep saying this word. Oh gosh, I gotta stop saying it so much. Are one of those things that can make or break you. Make or break you, make or break a person, make or break a situation, a relationship. Yeah, absolutely. Expectations can make or break a lot of things. So I want to read out of Romans 11:33 through 34. Oh, how great are God's riches and wisdom and knowledge. How impossible it is for us to understand God's decisions and God's ways. For who can know the Lord's thoughts? So a few years back when I was in seminary, I was reading, I read homily, and from the collection known as On the Incomprehensible Nature of God by John Chrysostom or something. I can't say his name. Now, he his theology was basically about God was unknowable. Like that was his whole, the whole thing that he, wrote about. God was unknowable to humans. Now, is God beyond comprehension? And that was the question. We had to write a paper on this. And is God unknowable to humans? And I'm just going to tell you, when I was reading this and having to do this paper, I was mad. I was reading it going, I know God. Me and God's close. Me and God, we tight. Me and God, I know God. How you know I don't know God? You don't know if I know God. And I'm having this battle of, is God knowable? I know, I was just really struggling with this guy telling me that God was unknowable. Now, as I continued to read it, this idea that God was bigger than anything I could ever understand or know, began to remind me of when I first met God. Back when God was God and I was a child and I knew God was all around. God was vast and mysterious, and it was back before I personalized God. You know what I mean? And reading this book took me back to a time before religion, myself, or ideologies assigned all these personality traits to God, right? Before I confined God to a description or a book or an ideology or a theology. And I want to read from this book that I was reading. The King of Kings, Paul said, the Lord of Lords, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light. Stop the heretic and ask him what who dwells in the unapproachable light means. And pay heed to the accuracy with which Paul speaks. He did not say who is an unapproachable light, but who dwells in unapproachable light. Why? So that you may learn that if the dwelling is unapproachable, much more so is the God who dwells in it. Okay. Now, this book really reminded me of my childlike fascination with a paradoxical God that was untouchable yet close. A God that was beyond anything I could think or fathom, yet my closest friend.
And being okay with that.
And being okay with that, right? Being completely okay with that. The one I recognized when I walk outside and the wind was blowing. I couldn't see God or touch God, but God was touching me. Yes. You understand?
Yes.
And it's like it was pure, and it was just authentic. I never questioned it. I never assigned any, I just knew. I was reminded that God is beyond words, descriptions, and expectations. And taken back to that place where I knew God was bigger. Bigger than my imagination, bigger than my understanding. just God. You know, God was God, and you know, and that was okay. So, what do we do when we meet people? We start a conversation, especially in Mississippi. Where are your mama from? Where are your mama and them from? We start talking. Where are you from? Where are you? Oh, I know that place. Yeah, I used to live down there. And we try to make connections. You know what I'm talking about? We're always trying to, you know, connect and find things in common with one another. It's like when we find these similarities, it makes us closer, or something that we makes us kindred or something. You know, that's something that we do as humans. We try to, you know, find things in common. And we do this with God too. We do this with God. We bring God into our world and our understanding. Okay? And of course we do. Of course we do. But that's what God intended us for. You know, God's big enough and small enough to fit into our ideas.
That's right.
Okay? And we're supposed to have that kindred connection that only we have with God, spirit, you know, universe, whatever you choose to call it. And God intended for us to connect in that small personal way. I truly believe that. God intended for us to connect in that small, intimate way. And I say small because no matter how much we think we know who God is, we truly know nothing. Right? Yet, God, in those moments, in those ideas, it's everything. That's that paradox. It's like that paradox. It's a beautiful, it's a mystery that you know, and you feel like you solve it moment to moment. Oh, I figured it out. And then there's something even greater and bigger. And it's like, you know, you're always constantly unless you get stuck in one spot, right? So God is truly beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding, and greater than our expectations. We need an intimate and personal relationship with God, Spirit, and I believe that's Spirit's plan. I believe that each one of us, as different as we are, all have a different relationship with Spirit, a different understanding, a different comprehension. And guess what, y'all? We're all right. We're all right. Your idea of God and your relationship with God is not wrong. It's different from mine. Especially, I mean, and, you know, but what we do is we expect God to be a certain way, or to look a certain way, or to manifest in a certain way. And we minimize and bastardize God when we do that. And when we pin our expectations onto God, we build boxes and limit a limitless God. An unlimited God with our expectations. Okay? And when we expect God, our God, to be everyone else's God, we divide and dishonor not only others, but God's ability to be everything that to them in a totally different way.
Right.
Minimizing and bastardizing God. God is infinite, boundless. I mean, and expectations are synonymous with assumptions. Y'all know what assuming does? Makes an ass out of you and me, right?
We're upstairs.
So we assume that God is supposed to be a certain way, that God is supposed to manifest in a certain way, you know. So we not only put our expectations on God, we put our expectations on people as well. Now, I think we have people coming in. We're almost finished. I may have talked too fast. Okay. So we put our expectations on people as well. Now, I've been the victim of expectations, as I'm sure everyone else has, and I've also victimized people with my own expectations. Expectations set us all up for failure and disappointment. Expectations, hey y'all, hey. Expectations are, oh my gosh, this was hard for me because I kept thinking, and I was fighting with myself as I was, going through this, but I expect this if I do this, and I expect, but it was like this paradox that I'm having with this whole idea of expectations, and I was going back and forth. So expectations, are just, they'll trip you up. Okay, they'll trip you up. So I was reading something, and y'all know I love the Tao. I love to read the Tao, and the Tao is just full of just spiritual truth, simplicity, and just profound truth. And someone summarized it as learning to live without expectations. And I thought, now that's just brilliant. Learning to live without and hard. Simple, but difficult.
Right.
Simple, but difficult. It's a simple, live without expectations. Oh, let's do that. And then what do? You walk outside and expect your car to crank. You know what I mean? And then when it doesn't, you're pissed off. Your whole day's all, what am I going to do? I'm going to be late. La, 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 la. And then we just go into this whole spiral. So, learning to live without expectations, that's what Lao Tzu taught in the Tao. And Buddha teaches to live without attachments. And Jesus said, do good and give without expecting anything in return. But everything in our society, everything in our world says, you do and you expect.
Yeah.
Everything. Transactional. Yeah. And so expectations are truly attachments to ideas, beliefs, biases, and letting go of these expectations unlimits our mind. And I know y'all have heard me tell this story 100 times when Spirit spoke to me, and I was just coming out of the church and everything that was happening, and Spirit spoke to me and said to me, I am who I am. And I am who I am to this person, and I am who I am to that person, and I am who I am to this person. And it's really none of your damn business how I choose to manifest myself to my people. I'm big enough to be all these things. I didn't tell you to change them. I told you to love them. And that was the beginning of the unraveling of expectations of God, and how people should see God, and how people should have a relationship with Spirit, and what their beliefs should be. And so when I stopped expecting God to be as small as my mind, I began to see God everywhere and in everyone, regardless of what church they went to, or what church they didn't go to, or what spiritual path they were on, or what denomination they were, or what Baptist church they went to, or what Pentecost. It just didn't matter anymore. And you see God in people when you start to realize that God is love, and God is in everything, and everything is in God, and you begin to see God or spirit, or whatever you want to call it, regardless of religious belief or lack thereof. I mean, expectations will trip you up. If we can stop expecting, and we can let go of our expectations, I think we could truly achieve unity. Right? If we would just live our life, do the right thing without expectation of anything in return, right? What kind of peace does that bring?
Lots. Because it'll definitely stop a lot of hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And disappointments. How often have I cried and cried and cried and cried because I had these expectations of the people around me? You know what I realized as I'm writing this? I was writing this and I'm like, well, that was selfish of me to be like, okay, I do all this and do all this, but I expect you to do the same for me. No, that's not why I'm doing it. Because I was like, my motive was, I'm just doing it because it's the right thing to do. And that's hard. And I ain't telling you I got it, because I ain't got it. And I know there are many times that people expected me to do certain things and be certain things, and I disappointed them because I couldn't live up to their expectations. I don't want anybody expecting anything out of me. Don't expect anything out of me. If you need me to do something, please tell me. I'll do it. Please. But don't expect me to do it, because and another thing expectations do is people expect you to do something that they would do. And then that breaks communication. You don't communicate that. You're like, well, you didn't tell me that. Well, I shouldn't have had to tell you that. Well, yeah. I'm not that, expectations are they can be very difficult. So expectations are,
they also kind of like blind you from good things sometimes.
Blind you from good things. And that's exactly right. And I'm glad you brought that up, Whit, because like when we have expectations, especially with God or even with people or situations, when we expect something to be a certain way, we miss the way it actually should be.
Yes. It just way times like 10 times better than.
Right. If spirit, if you're praying or working towards something and trying to, bring this, manifest this thing into your life, and you're expecting it to happen in this particular way. And when it doesn't happen in that particular way, you miss the even better way that it happened. And so expectations cause us to miss the true blessing in our lives. Like,
being bummed out and
right.
Not getting the you expect.
Right. Expecting one door to open and it did not open. We stare, what's the meme? You stare at the closed door so long that you miss all the windows or whatever that are all around opened up. So expectations do blind you, and they can block you from receiving everything you're supposed to and what's best. And that's what the Tao really teaches, basically, is getting in the flow of the universe and letting, riding that wave and letting it take you to the highest. So that's kind of what expectations will keep you, kind of grounded if you're not.
It'll keep you on the surface of the deep.
The surface of the deep. You will only walk on the water, Peter. You will never go into the deep with your expectations. All right, guys, that's all I got. I hope that you guys heard me today, because I'm still wrestling with this expectation things. I'm still thinking about this. This is still cooking in my, in my spirit, and I'm trying really hard to listen to myself and trying to keep an eye on I don't want to put my expectations onto people. And you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to teach myself this, and I'm trying to get back to that place where, I just don't expect. And that sounds, when you say, I don't really expect anything out of anybody, it almost sounds negative. Am I the only one that because I feel like when you're like, well, I don't expect, it just almost feels I'm having this weird moment with it, I guess.
It could be conceived in that direction, but
Not
Yeah.
being a positive person.
Right. I'm trying to, I don't want you to feel like if I give you something or if I do something for you, I really do not expect anything in return and I don't, or, any time, and that's just an example. Expectations of people and expectations of God can cause discouragement, disappointment, and even like Whit said, missing. There we are. It came back on, guys. I've been sitting here trying to have this. Sorry about that. The internet went down for a second. I'm not sure what happened. But I know we lost most everybody. But as we were sitting here chatting, Whit said expectations of ourselves can be devastating as well, and that's very true. And I'll tell you, the expectations of ourselves are usually fueled by society. Society says you're supposed to look a certain way, love a certain way, have a house and 2.3 kids, and there's these expectations that society puts on us that we then put on ourselves.
We need to ignore society.
Right.
Completely.
Absolutely. And Holly said the word that keeps coming to her is allow, and I like that as opposed to expect. Allow it to just be, allow it to become, allow it to, grow and transform or whatever, which I think is really good. So I like that word too. Hello, honey. So that's all we got. I apologize for the disruption. We are going to go ahead and close. And if you guys need anything, let me know. Just a reminder, Daniel's going to be here at 2 o'clock to do a meditation class. So if you want to come, it'll be at 2 o'clock here at the Red Jasper. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Namaste. Bye.